Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
Science couldn't explain it, but there it was, alive in the deep, deep waters of the Amazon. A throwback to a creature that had existed 100 million years ago, immensely strong and destructive. A woman's beauty, the bait that brought it out of its lair. See underwater thrills never photographed before. See titanic underwater battles never dreamed of before in this most terrifying of the science fiction adventures.
Alright guys, welcome back to our Universal Monster series. This is episode 5 of that. We will be discussing the creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm Jimbo, my co-host.
Terrence.
And a special guest host in here once again is...
Kyle Zahner.
Kyle A. Zahner.
Ooh.
Like I said, we in the previous episodes that we've done of this, we don't waste much time. We don't do questions. We just jump right into it. So Terrence, let's take away the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Creature of...
No.
From the Black Lagoon. I knew that. Just testing you. You passed. All right, release date, March 5th, 1954. Gross, USA. It made $1,003,000. For inflation, that's $12.4 million. So I don't know what its budget was, but if it's anything in line with the other...
films of the era?
The other Universal Monster movies, it at least made some back, but probably not too much. That seems to be the common theme for a lot of these movies. They're cult classics. They didn't do so well when they came out, but then they made a lot
had that lasting
later
appeal.
on.
Yeah, they had long legs.
Exactly.
Some of them literally. Sorry, go ahead.
This was directed by Jack Arnold. Writing credits goes to Harry Essex for the screenplay and Arthur A. Ross for screenplay as Arthur Ross. Maurice Zim, the story. William Alland, the idea, and is uncredited. So William came up with this idea, and then someone just wrote the story from it, I suppose. The technical specs, runtime, 1 hour and 19 minutes. So just like a lot of these movies, this one runs a little longer than some of the others, but still it's a quick watch it, be done. Then we have the sound mix, which is mono, Western Electric recording, color black, and around the time, I believe the first movie that was universally like brought 3D to the forefront and made it sort of like a little bit of a craze was in the 1950s. So, Lavatory, Universal International Studio Lavatory, USA. Negative format, 35 millimeter. Cinematographic process, Universal 3D, dual strip 3D. Printed film format, 35 millimeter. Now the awards. Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, USA 2015. If you've been listening to the other Universal Monsters, you saw this coming. So this one for 2 years instead of usually we see like 3 or 4 different years that this comes out. This one just in 2015 and 2013. In 2015, they were nominated for Best DVD Blu-ray Collection. That, Universal Classic Monsters Collection, like we have been seeing. They did win a Saturn Award in 2013, and that was for Best DVD Blu-ray Collection, Universal Monsters Collection.
So once again, we see awards being won, but nothing for effects, makeup, any of that stuff.
Nothing at all.
And it's a shame.
Because it's obviously, it's probably, the most impressive thing about that film are these effects. Those costumes are just amazing. They look so
Absolutely.
well.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, that is off to you now.
On to the synopsis and the casting from your boy, Kyle Zahner. The synopsis is, a team of scientists search the deep reaches of the Amazon rainforest to find a creature that lives in the water there and try and capture it and take it back for scientific study. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
What could possibly go wrong, right?
Exactly. Nothing. Rachel Carlson plays the main lead character as Dr. David Reed. Fun fact, Frank Lovejoy was actually first considered. Jimbo, do you have any cool other fun fact about Frank Lovejoy there? Or just,
Nope.
He was also considered, and he's a great actor, and I like him a lot.
Really? What other movies he playing?
Shush. Favorite movie? Shush. Great film. See? Got you. Sure, Shush is a real film.
Nice ad-libbing, but no.
The female co-lead was played by Julia Adams as Kay Lawrence, who also happened to be the last surviving cast member, who unfortunately passed away on February 3rd of 2019 at the ripe old age of 92.
Hey, and you know what else? She did all of her own stunts for this movie.
Very impressive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's good. Good going, girl. You go, girl. Nice. And lived 92. So just say, do cast, live long, do your own stunts, and live long time.
So Jackie Chan's going to live forever. Is that what you're saying?
Basically already is, right?
I hope so.
Right? Yeah. Also starring Richard Denning as Dr. Mark Williams, Antonio Moreno as Dr. Carl Maya. He's been in fun fact about Antonio Moreno, he had been in films since 1912. So even by the time he did that film, he's already had a
I mean, you're going back to silent movie days.
Yeah.
truly
going
silent
that far.
movie days. But even at the time of this film, he had already had 43 years of experience. Like, that guy knew what was up.
I will say it's if he's was doing films in the silent era, that he survived the transition, because there was a lot of actors who didn't. I mean, one of the most notable ones is Charlie Chaplin. He didn't make the transition from the silent film era into when they started introducing voice lines and stuff.
But did he die before then?
No, he
there's
did a
recordings of
couple.
Charlie Chaplin,
He did recordings. He did a couple movies, but it just wasn't as good. His popularity and his spotlight was in the silent film era. After it transitioned over into the new space, of cinema, being like now people have voice lines and dialogue and stuff like that. It just didn't hit as well.
Not to make it a Charlie Chaplin podcast, but I also think one of the cool things that of course he did mainly comedy in the silent film era, and then when it went to the actual talkies when it first came out, he actually became a lot more of a political minded person, specifically talking about Hitler and all that. The Great Dictator film specifically. So that was a very interesting, great person, Charlie Chaplin. Back to this casting though, we return to Nestor Pavia as Captain Lucas, also starring Whit Bissell as Dr. Edwin Thompson, Bernie Gozer as Z, Henry A. Escalante as Chico, Perry Lopez as Thomas, Rod Redwig as Lewis, Sidney Mason as Dr. Matos, Ben Chapman as Gilman, Rico Browning as the Gilman. Those were a shared role for the title character of the creature of the Black Lagoon.
So one of them was in the suit and land, and one of them was for underwater.
Yes. Ben Chapman was the land actor for all the major scenes, and then Rico Browning was the swimming actor for the creature.
And little fun fact about Riku was he could hold his breath underwater for 4 minutes.
Impressive now and
Right,
time.
but also for that, even though he was required to hold his breath for 4 minutes as the Gill Man, that's what they call the monster, the Gill Man. The director's logic was that air would have to travel through the monster's gills and thus not reveal air bubbles from his mouth to his nose. Thus, the costume was designed without an air tank. In the subsequent films, though, the detail was ignored and air can be seen emanating from the top of the creature's head. So I guess he actually held his breath the entire time they were doing this.
He did.
Which is impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and also, you can't really find a copy of it easily today, but it was originally produced in 3D and was one of the first films of that time. But that concludes the casting choices and the working synopsis of the film.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this. We'll go ahead and just start off talking about the movie because we like to walk through these movies.
Yeah.
The first thing that you see is what comes to mind is the opening thing is they're quoting the Bible. It says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth," and then it jumps into evolution. So I was like, so here we have a play on evolution and creation. I don't know if they're trying to.
They want to have their cake and eat it too,
right? You know, then you see, well, and here's the earth, and it's cooling down after 45 million years or whatever, you know, and they show in the different jungles and all that. So, Kyle, you want to take it from there? What happens next?
Well, I think I just sort of kind of want to dwell on that scene just a little bit because it was kind of interesting, like to have both a biblical answer and a evolutionary answer to the world.
That threw me for a loop, to be honest.
Yeah, it speaks to like kind of like how they made films at the time. They felt like they had to over-explain everything to the point where they made a contradictory explanation in the first scene of the film. Kind of funny. And let's hear, what was the second scene of the film? The first scene of the film, they find
I believe it's where they find the fossilized
recover
hand.
the hand fossil. Yeah. And they find that as they think it's like this will be one of the greatest discoveries of history, and they bring it back.
And if you remember, he pulls the hand out, hey, we gotta get this back to wherever, and then you see like the other creature's hand reaching out,
grab him by the feet.
Yeah,
and then that's where you hear that for the very first time, that wonderful score of the monster theme, which they play over and over. And fun fact about that, it was because of the executives of the film. That they insisted that theme be played over and over and over through the movie.
Well, director Jack Arnold claimed that his main goal in making of this film was to create a sense of dread. He said it plays upon a basic fear that people have about what might be lurking below the surface of any body of water. You know the feeling when you are swimming and something brushes your leg down there? He's like, it scares you. And if you don't know what it is, it's the fear of the unknown. I decided to exploit this fear as much as possible.
Popular other reference would, of course, be H.P. Lovecraft also used that in the key to a lot of his stories, and actually did it before this movie. But H.P. Lovecraft's works didn't actually become popular around this film's era. So, kind of interesting that you had the same kind of fear of the water and the unknown being played in this film that really worked pretty well.
Yeah,
right. So now the archaeologist, I guess we'll call him an archaeologist, even though he's a scientist. I don't know.
Generic science man number 2.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
So they decide to take it.
Back to England, right?
Right. I think it's England. And
is it still England again?
And
fancy science men always go to England. That's how it works.
Right, but is this where he finds the main guy that was working for him anyway?
You mean when he goes back to the tent and sees that the guy's been attacked? But
No. That's later.
That's later.
But is this where he meets? He decides to go and recruit the guy that had been working for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
the guy and the girl.
The guy and the girl are
David Reed.
They're back in England, and then the archaeologist who discovered the fossil comes back and shows them the recovered artifact.
Right.
And he wanted to test rock. That's when he explains his method that he's going to test his theory, because they tested the rock around the fossil itself, and they were like, "This is from the Devonian era."
Right.
And they're like, "We want to know where it came from, and we think it came from further downriver. So we want to get some rock samples and then see if they test the same."
And it was also like, "Hey, we have somebody stationed down there already. Remember, a little encampment or whatever." And he's like, "We can go down there and we can help them." And he's like, "By the way." He's like, I don't know if he's like, well, you work for me. I was like, well, okay. So they decide, I guess we're going, because the one guy, what you come to finally realize is the one guy wants to kill it and bring it back and do some stuff on it, and the other guy just wants to observe it and do some testing.
Different end goals.
Yeah, to leave it alone and just kind of monitor its habitat.
You only kind of get a hint of that in the beginning.
Right.
They definitely dive into that later.
Right. So now, hey, we're going down the river, the Amazon River, on the little boat, the Rita. It's like a piece of junk, So you have, who all do we have on the boat? Kyle, do you remember? Is it Dr. David Reed?
Dr. David Reed, Kay Lawrence, Dr. Mark Williams, and Dr. Carl Maya.
And then you have Captain.
And doesn't he have Lucas. A handyman? Doesn't he have another cabin mate on there?
Yeah, I believe
You have
Z
the
and
Captain.
Chico.
Yeah, you have the
Yeah.
other two on there.
But Captain Lewis, Lucas was my favorite. He's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, he's got a cigar in his mouth.
He's like the
always.
not even smoking the cigar. It's like an already smoked just cigar.
And he's like the expedition character every time. It's like, people don't like this place, right? Everything kills you here.
So and then he laughs about it.
He's such a good
So
guy.
I think from here it breaks away to the scene of the guy in the tent.
Yeah.
And he's hearing a noise outside. You actually see like the bubbles in the water, you know,
Yep.
and you start seeing feet walking up towards the tent. And I guess the guy in the tent thinks it's his partner.
I believe he thought it was Dr. Matthouse or
Yeah.
Mattis. whatever,
So
that's
he's
the name.
like, he starts yelling for him, and the next thing you see is you see like the destruction of the tent, which you still have never seen the monster yet. You've only seen parts
you've
of
only
it,
seen part of
which,
them.
you know, I wish they would do a lot of that more today. Don't show everything right up front. You know, make it
like a build up.
to like
It's always
right.
that clash. It's like, on one hand, the special effects are so expensive they have to show it.
Right.
But on the other hand, though, less is more. If you just showed a little bit, you'd go so much further.
Right.
You know.
Right. So basically, the boat's coming up the river now, and they get to that encampment, and you know, they take off, and they notice that they found the tracks on the ground, and the guy's missing. I don't think they found his body there either, did they?
There's two gentlemen there. They both
Right, but they
were
can't
buried.
find either one. They
Yeah.
just find the tent cut, shredded,
Yeah.
and they can't find the bodies.
I don't think they ever directly say like blood or anything like that, but I think they very clearly knew that they were attacked and killed. They kind of there was no mystery of like, oh, they went missing. Like, no, something attacked them here,
Right,
like a
but
tiger or something like that. That's what they figured.
I mean, at no point in any of these movies do you see any blood. I think
No.
at no point.
No viscera
Well,
or anything like
and
that.
if you remember, does this go back to the rules,
censorship.
the censorship that we had?
The laws I was talking about before. That I don't know. I'd have to look further into them. There's a handful of rules that they had to follow. Some of them silly, but it could be. That could be a possibility.
Because even Dracula, you didn't see the bite marks on her neck
Not
or
at all.
anything.
They didn't
so,
show it. Yeah,
Yep, all has to be implied.
it was just hinted by the scarf. You know?
Yeah.
Right. So the next thing you see someone in the water. Remember is it the lady in the water? Where she's in the water swimming or whatever, and they said don't go too far or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And of course,
yeah.
she immediately goes off too far.
But before that was when you finally do get that conversation of as they're driving into the lagoon.
Because they actually go deeper from the tent. They
do.
go like so many more miles because
They go diving
they said-
first.
Well, they said this is the farthest we've ever been. Remember?
Yeah.
And they said we got to go further.
And then
upriver.
that's when Captain Lucas is like, they call it Paradise Island, but
Because no one ever returns.
He's like, no one ever returns to say otherwise. So they go first. The two doctors, Dr. Reed and Lawrence, they go diving first, and then they collect some rock samples. You get a couple more shots of Gilman, we'll call him.
Yes. The creature.
The creature, and then you get some more of that amazing music.
Every time he's on.
Every time he's on screen, every few seconds.
What I do like about that music is they did take variations of it. So you had the like in your face, like super loud, score, but then they also took that same tone, but then they had the like sort of more bassy kind of. Dun, dun, dun,
Now, is this also the scene? Is this also the scene where she flicks her cigarette in the water?
No, that's
And-
later too.
Oh, okay.
So after they go diving, they collect some samples, and you can tell they're being stalked by the creature, but they don't actually interact.
That's
with
a
them
really
at that
interesting part about this film too, because this is probably one of the first films that actually showed the creature's perspective in a lot of the scenarios.
Exactly,
And it's understanding
yeah.
like he has a fascination with Kay Lawrence, obviously some
Yeah.
kind of, whatever kind of fascination he might have for a woman
like
of that age.
some kind of King Kong,
Yeah, King Kong, yeah.
That scene where she's swimming and he's doing the backstroke under her, dude. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Looking at
Yeah.
her, I just felt creeped out just watching that scene.
Yes, it is
beautifully shot.
Yeah.
So here's where I felt like, especially like with this particular scene, they spent a lot of time in the water, just like really long shots, just these long. It was at least a 5-minute scene. It felt like.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just underwater. It's showing fish. It's showing.
Also,
all the undersea stuff.
A fun fact there is that if you notice, one of the doctors only has one air tank on, the other one has two.
Yeah,
The reason they did that is so you could distinguish which one was which underwater.
that makes
So
sense.
you would know who was who and not getting confused about which character's who underwater. I thought that was very interesting, and I did not know that.
Yeah, that's a really good touch.
Right?
I thought maybe that was the guy that was supplying the air to the creature, underwater
Yeah.
or whatever, but obviously held his breath the entire time, so he didn't need it. So I thought that was really well done. Julie Adams, real quick, noted that making this film was an extremely pleasant process, unlike some of the other movies like Dracula that everybody just took it for granted. And the cast and crew always got along well. If you see any of the monster movies or listen to any of the monster movies that we've talked about, that was not always the case. She said she also felt that she felt sympathetic towards the monster. Adam said there is always that feeling of compassion for the monster. I think maybe it touches something in ourselves, maybe the darker part of ourselves that long to be loved and think they really can't ever be loved. It strikes a chord within all of us.
I mean, you can even say that now as like that influence carried all the way to Guillermo del Toro's later film, 2018, The Shape of Water.
I knew he was going to get that.
Well, you have to mention that right there because that is about the idea of just like that woman actually shared feelings for the creature.
And I wonder if she had a cameo in that movie.
Oh, if she
I think she should have.
If she would have been like 90 at the time of the film, and so it would have been very difficult, I'm sure. But I wouldn't sure
she could have been one of the crazy people in the apartment, though. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they asked her if she politely declined.
So you can tell.
I'm 90. I don't want to go to a film set. That's perfectly fine, woman.
We understand.
So a couple more things before we dive too much further in on the creature. In the film, the eyes of the creature were a fixed part of the rubber construction of the suit. The actors who played the part of the Gillman could barely see. In the second film, though, the eyes have been somewhat replaced with large bulbous fish eyes, so they could actually look around. Also, we all know that the two different stuntmen were used to portray this. Rick Browning, the one that was in the water, they said he actually wore like a lighter color green.
Was the one in the
and wore a lighter color suit. And the one on the that played the creature out of the water, Ben Chapman, his was a little bit darker. Also, that the Forrest Ackerman, a horror and science fiction writer for famous Monsters of Filmland magazines, bought the mask and claws of the creature's costume from a young man who had once used them as a Halloween costume. The costume pieces were discarded by Universal after production had finished on the three films, Creature from the Black Lagoon and its two sequels, and were later recovered from the studio's dumpster by a janitor who thought the ensemble would make a good Halloween costume for his son.
Wow.
Other costume pieces were recently sold at auction by Bud Westmore, who was an assistant to Millicent Patrick, the original designer of the costume.
And now, that just shows
that wins Halloween costume of the year right there. That just shows how they felt about it. It was just a prop and they throw it away.
That's why. And the film didn't make much money either, so I understand how it can be seen as just a write-off.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you can tell it's a cult classic just based on the fact that like this little fact right here shows that it didn't really make a cultural significant impact because no one really knew what it was. The janitor was just like, "Hey, look, this will make a cool Halloween."
Well,
costume.
but you got to think it was in not only in this film, but it was also in two sequels.
Yeah. So, like a film and two sequels.
Why would you throw something away if you knew it had made two sequels?
Yeah.
So the film, the costume's iconic. If it's already scheduled for two sequels or done two sequels,
it's always one of those crazy things. Like, it's such a large moving machine. It's amazing anything gets saved at all. Because even when you have like the best efforts of like Disney is probably known best for like maintaining all their old stuff and keeping it under perfect conditions. But a lot of other companies.
But a lot of time these movies were done real quick. Like I think it was The Wolfman. Or The Mummy. It was
like
they
2
were
months.
Shot in 2 weeks.
Oh,
the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it was released a week later. That's editing and everything, and it was put out. And I was like, the turnover rate back then was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, and the other thing, they're running right back onto the next project as soon as they can. So like the idea of like, hey, let's make sure we keep all our stuff in storage and keep it in good condition, never crosses anyone's mind because they're just thinking like, next money, gotta get paycheck. Yeah, next movie, gotta get the paychecks. We gotta go. I
will say one interesting thing about the mask itself is there was an account that from one of the two stuntmen that played Gilman, which is they explained the eye is almost like looking through 2 peak holes really far away. Like that's how hard it was to see.
Can you imagine?
In the
especially the underwater
mask.
guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be virtually useless at that point.
Right.
Everything's just a vague suggestion.
Well,
I'm floating around here.
Rico Browning, the stuntman who provided the underwater shots of the creature, once had to make an emergency bathroom visit while he was filming a scene. Browning had been underwater for several minutes and breached the water in full costume next to an unsuspecting mother and her young daughter off the nearby shore. Okay. Browning said that they fled in terror, and once they saw him, he recalled, they took off, and that's the last I saw of them. Also, in an interview, Julie Adams recalled that swimming for long periods in the frigid water was one of the most challenging parts of making this film. For most of production, the water tank was used for most of Adam's swimming scenes was heated. However, the crew forgot to heat the tank prior to filming on a particular chilly day.
So this film was actually filmed in 2 different locations. Most of it was filmed on set, on Universal property. But there was also a good chunk of the film that was filmed in Florida.
Right. The creature, using the name Uncle Gilbert, had appeared in an episode of the TV series The Munsters. Julie Adams, the main lady, had lighthearted complaint that no matter how well she acted or what role she had in other films, fans always remembered her as Julia Adams from Creature from the Black Lagoon.
It's a double-edged sword to be
right.
a great actor. We don't do
okay,
well.
Hey, we remember you, but this movie didn't do very well.
So before spitting out more facts, let's get further into the movie. So they've gone underwater. They've got some rock samples. That's when they come up. That's when you see the divide between the 2 scientists, right?
Yeah.
One's like, I just want to. It's from the Devonian era. Like, I want to know about it, and it probably has some answers for us. That questions we can ask. And then the other guy's just like, well, we got to kill it. It's already.
Right. It's already gone too far. We need to end this right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was their purpose of going up further from the shore or further up the river from where they were?
So they needed to check the samples that they had from where they originally found the first sample, and then they wanted to, based off of the Earth moving and all this other stuff. They had estimated that the rock formation that it came from was further downriver. So then that's why they pulled up the rocks from the bottom of the water to test it. And actually, shortly after, you do find out that it's the same rock from the same rock formation. So they're like, okay, this is for sure from the Devonian era. This is around where it came from, and then that's also explains why that creature resides in that area, because whatever it is, it's always been there. And then after you have this whole debate, they go, and as they're testing those samples, that's when she takes the dive in. And then that's when you get, more long shots of underwater, her swimming. But then, you get that creepy scene where, she's backstroking, and then right under her
that is
him
the creepy.
swimming.
I think that is really well shot.
It's probably the best shot of the film.
Right.
itself.
It is, yeah.
So
absolutely.
uneasy. And
Because now you start thinking about all the times that I was in a lake or an ocean, and you're out there swimming, and you're like, man,
anytime
I wonder.
You get that, you get that little feeling that someone just touched your foot,
Or
and
if
you
you-
freak
and
out.
then they actually touch on that.
Or if you've ever been in the ocean and you step on something.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the weirdest
And
feeling
then
ever.
they do touch on that, because when she's treading water, because the captain's calling out,
And
to
he comes
her,
up,
and he's
remember
like, you shouldn't be so far out. And then that's when he comes up and just kind of grazes her foot. And then she swims back, and up to this point, there's been no interaction with the monster, really. It's just almost this anticipation buildup of him stalking whoever's in the water, and you think there might be an interaction, and then there isn't.
A great play for suspense and all that.
It is, yeah.
That's
No,
what
it's
really is,
this huge buildup in suspense, because, even me being, desensitized from, modern movies and everything, I was still like, when's it going to happen? Is this going to be it? Is he going to grab her before she gets on the boat? And then it doesn't happen. I'm like, oh, man.
Is this also where, when they go diving, is this also where they take the harpoon gun?
He takes they take
yeah.
the harpoon gun on the first one too.
Yeah, because they said
that's when he showcases it. He's like, "This is the harpoon gun." He's like, "All you got to do is point and squeeze," and then he shoots it at the boat,
the barrel or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first time they went in the water. She goes out swimming, and then they decide to go in with a camera. For the second time they dive, and then once again the other guy's varnishing the.
Now, are we still at the
gun.
first scene before or have we already traveled upriver from this tent scene?
Oh, this is way after the tent scene, because they
So
don't
when
revisit that camp.
But I mean, when they first, that was what I was asking earlier, is when they first dive, is that at the tent scene, or does that?
Oh,
do
no,
they
no,
go?
no.
That's what they go ahead and go onto the
upriver,
lagoon,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's why I was trying to.
river,
That's because I don't remember them diving at the tent scene. That's why I was like, I just
No, this
replaying
is
it
way
wrong in
after
my
the
mind.
tent scene.
So
Now-
they're already in the final destination.
Now, here's where I don't remember, because it's been at least a week since I watched the movie, and I've watched a lot since then. But
Kyle just watched it last night or the night
when
before.
was the net scene where it gets caught in the net, and they're just the boat's trying to pull it up. Oh, and it's just struggling, and it even breaks part of the mast.
I believe that's like just after that scene, actually, after the scene where she's swimming off the lake.
That's right.
Because right after that, and they cast that net to kind of capture him, and he just fights a very hard fight.
He breaks right. He just
they demonstrate that this creature has almost a supernatural strength to him.
Yeah.
Just like kind of fighting to I feel like the and similar how Jimbo said at the beginning of the film, they have a play on the God created the world and evolution created the world. The creature of the Black Lagoon has both a kind of a reptilian and scary supernatural kind of quality to him. He could just be a creature from the world that just has always been there, or he could be an a super deity that also has these physical powers and is almost like a demonic force to a degree.
So at this point, has he attacked anybody else?
He's only attacked people in the campsite, and he attacked them directly. But now after he escapes from the net, I believe. Then he attacks. I believe it's Z or Chico on the ship.
Yeah, right. So he does attack one guy because it's kind of like one by one. He gets one guy on the ship, and then I believe there's the doctor happens in between, and then another guy gets choked. Oh, okay, one guy gets dragged underwater, I think, and then the other guy gets choked out. And then just
So who's the doctor that ends up in the bandages? Is it one of the doctors?
It's one of the doctors.
I believe it's Edwin Thompson. I believe it's him.
Yeah.
He gets attacked, and he basically
all in bandages.
Kind of fun fact of the lack of violence in the film.
Looks like the Invisible Man.
He gets lightly brushed away, and then all of a sudden all of his bones are broken.
Right, and you're like. Wow,
he barely survived.
And I kind of wondered. If the creature has killed everybody else up to that point in the movie, why did he let this one survive?
Yeah,
I don't remember if he got chased, scared off, or
that
something.
was that land scene. That was the first land scene where he fought off people, and he killed one guy, and then he punched off the other one, and
and then you see him going back in the water.
Yeah, then he flees because everyone else I think comes with the harpoon gun, and everyone else comes from a group. He likes his prey.
So here's where I feel different from I knew what they were going for, so I knew how I felt would be at odds with probably some other people, but they do try to garner some sympathy and empathy from the creature's perspective. It's it's this curious creature and all this other stuff.
Why won't you leave me alone,
But then I'm thinking, it's murdered 2 people already. So right off the get-go, I'm like, okay, it's dangerous. And then where my sort of crossroads comes is okay, do I agree with the guy who's just let's just leave it alone? It's killed people already, so let's just let bygones be bygones. Or do you take it out because it is killing people?
Well, you got to remember they're down there in that the hole too, and they're like, "Hey, are we going to?" That's where they get in the fight. He's like, "We've come this far. We're staying. We're going to kill it." And the other guy's, "Look, we just need to leave it alone." And at this time, you see the creature come through and grab the guy, and they take him out the manhole. Don't you think the creature pulls him out the manhole? Yeah. And they're like, well, and that's when they all start going crazy. They said, "We just have to leave," and that's where he overthrows the guy that he's working with. He's like, "You work for me." He's like,
that was
punches him or something. Remember?
They have that punch out. And that was before he got pulled through the manhole.
Because they're trying to leave, and remember, he's like, "It's blocked."
Yeah.
The creature has built a dam underwater blocking them.
And that's where it kind of goes because, whether intentional or not in this film, there's a lot more of a gray morality to it in the first place. They discover the fossil, and then they go into the creature. They go into the creature's Black Lagoon. It's his Black Lagoon. He's the guy that has that place. That's his chill spot. And then hey, if we're here, we're going to try and capture you and kill you.
Right.
And he's already been shot once. The second time they dive, when he has the camera and everything, he ends up shooting it with the harpoon, but he swims away, and that's when they come up from water, and they're like, "It was here in the picture," and he thought he grabbed a picture of it, but after it developed, it didn't show up.
Yeah, I really like how he would hide along the seaweed and the moss.
Yeah,
you just see him creeping, looking through there. I thought that was really well done too.
Oh yeah.
He's equally fascinated with humans as the humans are fascinated with him,
right. Which is an interesting perspective.
Yeah, but he's already killed people, so
he's already killed people.
But I don't know if anybody's actually been in the water with him like that. You know what I mean? Maybe he's thought it was another one of his own kind.
Yeah, but also you can also say as a creature, they don't
predatory.
Show him predatory, but also he might be approaching out of curiosity, and then everyone else is attacking him out of a sense of self-defense. Even in the tent scene, the guy is just immediately screaming at him and possibly trying to fight back or something like that, or run away, and then the creature attacks him and kills him out of a more primal violence, which can also be a little bit more of a
Great.
There's a bit of a negative racial undertone of the 50s at the time, of being in the 50s era of having these white scientists go on a ship in Africa and then find these people that interrupt on phone calls. Oh my gosh!
What did we tell you the last time
It went on vibrate. It was really rude. I'm sorry, but it has a case where these scientists from Europe proceed to go to Africa and then take this native, and then they perceive him as this violent creature instead of actually as a human being.
Can I mention that every sort of every dude indigenous to that region that was helping them out gets killed?
Yeah.
And that was the thing that was one of the things I was like, did that really have to be a thing? Like, oh yeah, all the cannon fodder in this movie, they're all the people who live in this region. But,
it was like,
and I was like, except for the captain. Thankfully, not the captain.
Yeah, the captain. So we've come.
But yeah, everybody else, I was just like, really?
So we're at the. You all right?
Yes.
So we're at the point where they're trapped because they have the dam there. Remember? And
yeah,
the one guy's like, "Well, I'm going to go out there and fix it." But they also coming up with I want to say hydrogen bomb, but I know that's not the word I'm looking for. They were trying to make something underwater they thought would kill. Remember, because they would.
It's actually they use this
earlier.
I forgot what it's called, but they use it earlier, and you kind of see the effect of it with some of the smaller fish. It'll come up. How the captain described it, it's like a really bad hangover. Like and they just pop up, like they're still alive. But he's like, I've used it for fishing.
It startles and knocks out the creature.
It startles and knocks them out.
The flashbang for the sea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they used a little bit of it before to try to drag him out, and it didn't work. So they were trying to develop it further to make it heavier. But that was only after he got attacked while trying to move the blockade.
Right.
That they tried to,
and I think they were
further.
Weren't they out in the boat and they did it, and they were all out there looking to see where he would pop up or whatever.
Yeah.
And is that where he drags one of them underwater?
I think he comes up.
Or is that where he climbs up on the boat?
I think that's where he climbs up on the boat.
That was a crazy scene.
Which is a great
right?
scene of just
and is that where he grabs the girl? Remember, he grabs her and he just does does the barrel roll with her like.
That's way later though, because that's near the end. When he finally grabs the girl.
That's something still thing.
He's grabbed a dude and drug a dude in the water.
So they went to try to go remove the blockade, right? And he gets one of them there, don't he?
I think so,
because they were trying to tie the rope around the tree to move it to move
the debris around so they can actually get through
there.
Yeah, but it just shows like one thing, they don't make a big light of it in the film, but it consistently they underestimate the creature's intelligence and ability to trap them, and also his physical strength to break out of all these barricades.
Well, I wonder. You kind of wonder if he's more like the Borg. He's adapting to his situation. Where he.
Well, so we kind of grazed over it, but back when they actually captured him and they got him in the little wooden cage, that when the doctor got injured,
right?
That also showcased sort of his intelligence, because the doctor was sitting there watch him, make sure he doesn't do anything fishy.
Waka.
So the doctor's sitting there, he kind of watches, then he sits down for a moment, and then he kind of closes his eyes, and then he has the conversation with the girl. And then that's when the creature's noticing that he's distracted, and you just see him slowly come up and test sort of the
restraints
of the bars of his cage, and he's like, yeah, I can totally break out of this. You see him slowly lift up, and you can see him sort of just get enough.
It's I think I can break this a little
exactly.
bit later. Yeah.
And that's when you do hear the snap in the background, and what's going on? That's when the doctor got attacked. So that also showcased sort of the intelligence and the strength of the creature themselves.
Right. Little itty side note too. That's the first scene where I saw his head poke out of the water and he's sitting in the bars. I'm like, you're adorable.
that was the creepy scene for me, was when the doctor's constantly looking at him and he's just sitting there in the water just staring at him, and just super still, just these dead eyes, you know what I mean? So that was kind of creepy to me. It's just this fish creature just staring back at you.
If they haven't done it already, this would be a great film for an actual riff tracks of just cutting back to him standing still what's up.
So where are we at in the movie now that we have the blockade and we're trying to remove it? He's killed another guy, and I think This is where the guy's like, I'm going to have to go underwater with this weapon.
Yeah.
And so I have to get this tied off or we're going to die here.
Not yet. So
Man versus monster.
That's when him and the other doctor go in the water. Or maybe this was before. Once again, I'm kind of getting my events mixed
We
up.
have lost this plot entirely. We just know that events happen.
Events happen and we're just throwing them out.
This is our retelling of the real thing.
So
I was there.
Believe me.
So that's when the two doctors go into the water, and that's when the one guy ends up dying.
Right.
Like, he has the huge fight with the creature, which for me that was the most terrifying thing.
Yeah, to drown underwater like that.
Yeah, because like you see him, like the creature bites off one of the
Air hoses.
the air hoses, and you just see all the bubbles and everything because now he's no longer getting oxygen, and they continue to tussle underwater, and then that's when you see his body float up to the surface when he's dead, and like they bring him up to the surface, but you're like, yeah, he's a goner, and I was like, man, that is probably the most creepy part for me is just sort of the helplessness and like of tussling with something underwater, and then you can't breathe, and that's it. It's all she wrote.
And also, just like seeing his body floats up, it goes to prove that it's just like the tides of the Black Lagoon have turned, where he is no longer he is no longer the prey in the situation. They are the prey.
Right.
Exactly.
They're the victims
It's
of
like,
the
well,
creature.
you wanted to kill me. Well, I'm just going to kill.
And then that's when sort of the desperation level came up to 10, and it's like, yeah, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then that's when they take that underwater flashbang stuff, basically, and then they put it into the harpoon gun itself. So instead of putting a harpoon in it, they're going to put in this knockout drug. And they're like, oh, it should be enough to propel it into his face and be effective. And then that's when he goes to reconnect the blockade, and then he has a tussle with the Gill Man. To where he has to constantly shoot this stuff in his face. And all it does is stun him for a little bit, and then he comes right back.
Yeah.
Which really just shows the resilience of this creature.
But doesn't he eventually get the blockade tied off where he can pull it out, right?
And
They do
finally
succeed in getting
But I
it
think,
going,
is it...
that's when he dives bombs with the girl.
Right, because he's out in
Yeah.
the water with him, and the next thing you see him climbing up that ladder, and
Yeah.
he's kind of creeping along. I was like, the creature's creeping, and she's like on the far side of the ship. You got the captain up there, I think, with a gun.
Yeah,
right.
He has just a gun.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see her
small
turn around.
rifle.
She's like, oh, and
Yeah.
that dive he does, it's a 10. If he was an Olympic swimmer, he grabs her. They just both perfectly just
perfect.
the way they dive in. Now, this was the other interesting part is that once he dives in the water, he goes to a cave underneath the water.
Back to the cave that they had explored before.
Right. So, a thing about that is when he's carrying her in there.
He can't see.
Well, not only that, he can't see. He bangs her head.
Bangs her head
But
against the fake rock wall.
Yeah. But
Like,
she
she
said
was
that she
okay.
was.
Yeah.
Well, she said. Let me see. There's so many notes here.
So many great facts.
Stated that she was not knocked out when she was being carried into the cave by the creature. Rather, Adams claimed that she scraped her head against the plaster wall of the cave while the stuntman was carrying her. Neither Adams nor the stuntman had very good visibility when filming the scene. The scene called for Adams to pretend to be unconscious in the creature's arm, which meant that her eyes were closed and the stuntman could barely see through the creature's mask. So I was like, wow. Another little tidbit. This was the first film that Stephen King can remember viewing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So I will say this is also, at least as far as all the other monsters go, this is also the first one that showcases that he's been shot. Because right before the end of the movie, they shoot him a couple times, and you see the bullet holes.
Yeah, he's been damaged.
He's been hurt, but
Yeah.
he's not gone down for the count by any means. And the fact that they showed that, like, given there wasn't blood or anything, but you can see the bullet holes. You can see holes in his carapace armor, right?
Yeah, his carapace armor, yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because that's the first time we've seen anything like that. Because in all the other ones, it's like you hear the shots, but it's all implied.
He can throw smoke around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But he can't show any kind
with
of
the
actual
Wolfman, they were like, "Oh, he healed," so
Yeah.
you don't see the bullets on him. I don't believe they ever shot at Dracula.
Well, they did. Remember, they were on the guy.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But once again, it was like no damage. The mummy just aged away, so he was never shot. But this is the first time a creature is shot, and you see the damage from the gun versus not seeing anything at all, and it's just being implied and said.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting.
Well, this is where he's got the chokehold on the Dr. Reed, ain't it? Is that what you're talking about? Where the captain shoots him?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he's got the guy
him.
choking him. Remember?
Yeah.
And the captain just shoots him twice. You know, you see the little chunks fly off or whatever.
Yeah. It also goes to show this is of the other Universal monster films, they often go on the side of the myth of it. Actually, like, they are kind of like magical or supernatural or even like religious, of a sign of deity. And with Creature of the Black Lagoon, they play with both sides of, like, the Creature of the Black Lagoon, the Gill Man, can just be like a naturally occurring animal to a degree, or he actually could be this almost supernatural creature. And they kind of play with having like him have both kind of sides of it, where like he can actually receive a realistic damage of being shot, but also he has the super strength to tear away an entire cage.
Right. So how many times did he get shot there? At least twice, maybe 3 times.
I believe he had 3 or 4 bullet holes.
Because you remember the doctor's he starts walking away. You know, and the doctor's like, just let him go.
Yeah.
And you see him walk out, and you just see him like fall in the water. You know, and you see his body just sinking at the end. Remember, it's kind of like sinking. So they intentionally left that in there because they left it up to sequels, because they didn't show him dying. They just show him getting to the water and going to the bottom. You know,
going to where you would assume he resides. Yeah.
So either way, you could have said, "Hey, he's dead," or "Hey, he's just finally is like, I'm done." And, you know, enough of this. A severe accident was narrowly avoided while filming the fight scene between the creature and Z. Ben Chapman, the stuntman who acted as the creature on land, and Bernie Gozier, who played Z, rehearsed the fight scene for several days. There was a particular need for the extended rehearsal since the creature's costume allowed for very little mobility or visibility. The scene called for Z to swing at the creature with a machete and for the creature to grab his hand before he could complete the motion. When the scene was filmed with the actors in costume, Chapman misses Gozier's hand when he swung the machete at him. The blade connected squarely with the creature's head. Luckily, the machete was not extraordinarily sharp, and the thick rubber foam that forms the creature's head prevented Chapman from receiving any serious injury.
Wow.
Or that could have been a tragedy of cinema there, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nearly avoided.
There's also a rumor that the Rico Browning's Gill Man suit was painted yellow so that the camera would be able to see the suit better in the murky water. However, they denied the rumor, saying his suit was also painted green. It was made to look identical to Ben Chapman's suit that used to walk on land.
Okay.
Interviews, Ben Chapman will often thank the fans for keeping the movie's popularity alive. He believed that if it was not for the loyal fans, The Creature from the Black Lagoon would have been just another forgotten monster movie film.
So here's a fun casting fact for Gillman. They wanted the actor that played Frankenstein, or not
Karloff.
Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, Karloff. They wanted him to be the creature, but he declined.
Right, and I think it was the director I read that he didn't like the because Karloff talked with I don't want to say a lisp, but he had some sort of speech
impediment.
Yeah, it's either impediment or slang or
a
lisp.
But which is interesting because the creature
accent.
never speaks. It just they have this pre-dubbed noise.
For one other reason or the other, he didn't like the way he audibly made noises.
Right. The first design for the creature costume was modeled after the Oscar statue given away by the Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts and Sciences.
That's fantastic.
The design was quickly scrapped over, and the final foam, rubber, and latex creature costume bears a little resemblance to the award. And the last thing that we'll talk about is Rico Browning and Ben Chapman, the two people who played the monsters, never met during the making of the film. Browning's underwater scenes were filmed in Florida, and Chapman's scenes were filmed in California. They didn't meet until they both attended a convention in Florida 20 years later.
Wow.
So that means they didn't even see each other at the premiere or anything. So, Kyle, we'll start with you. Give us your thoughts and opinions on this movie.
My thoughts and opinions is that this movie holds up really well. I really like it a lot. I think the creature design, its costume, are all just really inspiring and naturalistic in a time where like some special effects can look a little bit dated. It looks good. Just looks good. And I really love it. And I think there's a lot to learn from that movie carrying forward. And I like it a lot. That's all I can say. I don't have a good thoughtful opinion. My bad.
Terrence?
Of the Universal Monster movies, it's probably the creepiest, but that's because I I've never liked sort of
Fear of water.
Yeah, exactly. I've always had this fear of water, and that's on like all mediums. Like any movie that has underwater scenes that are, for the sake of scaring, it's really effective to me. Like underwater scenes in video games, I hate them. just underwater themes in general, it's always left me with a feel of unease. And so those particular two scenes I was talking about, one where the creature's staring from underwater up at the dock, and then the other scene where he has the fight with the other guy. Just those scenes really had an effect on me, and that's why I think this is a really good movie, especially in the theme of monster horror movie, because it did actually have me at that feel of unease.
Right.
But I will say that theme that they always play, that did have me laughing, and that kind of left playing that over and over let me feel at ease more. Interestingly
it's
enough,
kind of
even though it's
I didn't
supposed
notice
to,
it in the time, so for me,
Yeah.
I felt all the unease, but since you noticed it, it's always there now.
Now, was this the first time you both watched it?
yeah.
Yes.
So this is your first experience, right?
This is my
a lot
first
of these
experience.
Universal monsters are your
First experience,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
So this was always one of my favorites when I was a kid. I just thought he looked cool. Between him and the Wolfman. But we're going to cover the Invisible Man, which I think might be my favorite Universal monster now because the way that movie ended up. But we're not talking about that yet. But this is definitely probably it's in my top 3, I would say, of the Universal monsters. The sequels are amazing too. If you haven't seen the sequels, like Revenge of the Creature, and I can't remember the name of the third one, but they are really well done. But yeah, overall, I mean, this is a definite must-watch. If you're a fan of any of the Universal monsters that we've covered so far, or just monsters in general, or Fear of the Unknown, Fear of the Water, it covers it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Covers all the bases of horror. Really great.
Oh, yeah.
Any other last thoughts before we close this one out? Terrence?
That's it. I mean, one thing that just I found interesting, I didn't even think about until Kyle brought it up, and that's sort of that almost Lovecraftian vibe without it being inspired by Lovecraft himself, where you have that sort of you almost have this outworldly horror without it being an outworldly horror, which is interesting.
Lovecraft was a man afraid of everything, anyone that looked different, and very controversial sometimes, but also did kind of hit those real feelings of anxiety around an unknown kind of figure, and what dwells beneath the darkness of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
No one knows.
So it was interesting that it caught elements of that without it being directly inspired by it.
Yeah.
So while we're here, let's go ahead and put these in order, since I usually ask you this at the end of every episode. So if we're going to put the Universal monsters, the ones that we've covered so far, between Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, the Mummy, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon, how are you place them in order of your favorites?
I would still put this one probably before the Mummy and the Wolfman, right? So it would be right behind those.
So you're still going with the Mummy number 1, Wolfman number 2, then the Creature,
and then the Creature, and then
Dracula,
and then Frankenstein at the tail end.
Kyle?
I think Frankenstein would kind of carve it up just a little bit above the Creature of Black Lagoon, and then put the Wolfman on 3rd and Dracula at the bottom right now.
So what about the Mummy? Where are you putting the Mummy?
Mummy, I put it below that too.
So you put it below Dracula?
Put it below Dracula.
So this is Frankenstein's, you're saying number 1 for you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I think this episode's coming to a close. Be tuned. Be on the lookout. We're getting ready to cover for our 6th installment, The Invisible Man. You will not want to miss it. Ba-doom, boom. Even though you're looking, you may still miss him. With that being said, this is coming to an end. That's a wrap. And cut.